Is the expandable garden hose worth purchasing? Is it the right hose for you? Should you consider investing in one for your farm, yard, or garden? Keep in mind that I'm not trying to sell you a garden hose. This was a product that was given to me for free to use and review on my channel. Before I talk too much about the expandable garden hose, let's talk about what we have been using already for the past few years. The garden hoses in my garden actually are the newest, nicest hoses that we have on the farm. A decent medium quality hose from one of the big box stores, and they work just fine, but they tend to be heavy and cumbersome. Even though the marketing does say it's a no kink hose, when there's no water pressure in it, it does tend to fold over and create little kinks and bends. Some of the other hoses on the property are older, long, heavy, very bulky hoses. And no matter how you roll up or handle a 100-foot hose, it's always 100 feet long. One nice thing about this expandable garden hose is that when there's no water pressure in it, it pulls back, so it's a much shorter and lighter hose to handle until you get water pressure in it. This 50-foot garden hose here contracts back to about 17 feet. You can turn the nozzle off on the brass fitting, put pressure in the hose, and it's going to start to expand. Then you can carry it out. And since you have the nozzle right on the end, even if you don't have a spray nozzle, which this does come free with a spray nozzle with multiple settings, you can still turn this on and off at the end of the hose instead of at your faucet. The webbing on the outside of the hose is very lightweight, very expandable, and protects that nylon hose in the middle extremely well. One of the things I do like about this hose compared to some of the other hoses that I've seen in the stores, because I've been curious to use expandable hoses in the past but never wanted to purchase them, they always seem very cheap. The brass fittings on the end of this hose are much more durable and make it feel like a higher quality hose. By no means am I trying to tell you that a thicker, heavier hose is not appropriate. In some cases it's perfectly appropriate. The expandable hose, in our experience over the last few months of using it, is very nice for the light duty stuff up next to the house. But when you need a larger volume of water quicker, like filling up a horse tank or something like that, you don't want to have to wait for something that doesn't have the throughput, the amount of volume that you need quick enough to get the job done so you can turn it off and go inside. Another place where I found out that the expandable water hose didn't perform as well as a typical garden hose was on a non-pressurized water tank. My tank here I think would be representative of a typical water tank, non-pressurized tank, where it just fills up and depends on the gravity of water to come out the hose. Well, this hose requires 5.88 bar of pressure. I don't claim to know exactly what a bar is, but according to the description online, that's the amount of pressure it needs to get water to come out of the end of this hose. My tank here just doesn't produce quite enough pressure to make that happen. My wife is excited that we actually have this hose. When we get My wife has said that she loves this garden hose. It's durable, it's lightweight, it's easy to use, it hangs up easily, and it's not in the way because when you turn the pressure off, it contracts back. One of the reasons that she has liked it is because when we hook up the small electric power washer, the larger, heavier hoses tend to get in the way and are very cumbersome to pull around to the job sites. Luke is demonstrating in this case where we're washing one of the baby pools that we use for the ducks. The ducks tend to get the water very dirty and then the algae grows in there, so it needs power washed. This hose makes that job a lot easier because you can hook it up and pull it around without as much hassle. So in review, we won't be giving up our longer, heavier hoses because there's plenty of jobs on the farm where that is the appropriate tool. It works well, it's durable for laying out in the yard. But for the jobs up around the house, like washing the dogs, washing the horse, filling up the water containers, and using the pressure washer, the fact that this hose is lightweight and has the durable fittings with the shutoff valve, that makes it extremely easy for my wife and kids to use for those simple chores right up near the home. So what do I get out of showing you this hose? Well, first of all, this is simply an agreement between me and the company that sent me this hose. They asked for me to do a review and I got a free hose. So I got my reward. The only other financial reward that I can get out of this is if you click the link in the description below, that is my Amazon affiliate link. So if you buy this hose through that link, I'll get a few pennies and you can help support Daddykirbs Farm. If this is your first time with me here on the Daddykirbs Farm, thank you for joining my journey, and I would love for you to hit the subscribe button so you can get a notification every time I create a new video. YouTube will send you a link in your email letting you know that I've updated my content. I'd like to give a special thanks to my patrons who support me over on Patreon. Thanks, guys. I can't wait to share more of my garden and farm adventures with you. I'll talk to you soon.